Yes, all of them. And by the way, not just about the show.
Oh, okay.
Can you
Any answers?
Can you say your names for the tapes that we've got?
I'm Matt Miller, executive producer of the pilot of the 100's.
And I am Jason Rothenberg, creator, writer for Pilot, executive producer.
So give us all the secrets.
All right, what do you want to know? Let's
Everything.
go. Let's
Tell
talk.
me everything about it.
Who threw the spear?
Yeah.
Well, no, we can't get. Well, here's what we can talk about. You know, the idea just that there are survivors, that there are people that, you know, unbeknownst to the people on the Ark, have made it through this 100-year post-apocalyptic Earth is, you know, obviously tremendously surprising. Why? She said who threw it? I'm not.
So are we supposed to operate under the assumption that everybody's seen the pilot in the war?
Yes.
If she says who threw the spear,
Yeah, it's in the pilot, right?
Defensive.
what are you talking about?
No, it's a little bit like, you know, you're trying to sell The Sixth Sense and you tell everybody Bruce Willis is dead.
What? 20 years later.
I don't know what to say to you. I think that the premise, where they land on Earth, they're going to live. The 100.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Can you guys talk about what the basic idea behind how it's developed?
Yes, it's based on a book called The 100 by Cass Morgan. Alloy's publishing it in the fall. It's not out yet. I got a hold of it from Gina Girolamo at Alloy about a year ago, and it was actually only a proposal at the time. Read it, and it blew my mind in terms of what the idea was. The book wasn't even written yet, just the idea I thought was so great. And had been looking to do a Lord of the Flies writ large for a while, and that was kind of, you know, it was obvious. I'd also been wanting to do a movie or a show on another planet where it was like a colonial situation, and so this really was put everything together for me, and I jumped at it. And that's what started.
Can you talk about the episodes, like in the pilot there's the people that are still in space, and then the people that are on Earth kind of have split into different groups, and then there's the animals and people presumably that are the inhabitants of Earth. So can you talk a little bit about how like the episodes are going to balance between these different groups and play out?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the idea is, you know, Jason has always described it as Battlestar Galactica meets Lost. And so you do have those two separate worlds, and visually they're two very different worlds. You have this sort of very, very green, very lush, kind of utopic ground where they find up in Vancouver. And then we also have, you know, the kind of more Spartan ship in space, which, by the way, in a going forward basis, the ship is going to seem a lot more
fucked up.
Yeah, it's going to, you know, look like it's held together by duct tape, and see people welding in the background and all of that. It's falling apart, yeah. And so, but in terms of the balancing of those two worlds, you never want to feel like, we're going back up to the Ark, or we want to feel like those two worlds are connected. And the way to do that is a few ways. One of them is, you know, the use of flashbacks and things in series, so that we can actually see these characters interacting with each other. Because otherwise, all the kids on the ground, you really have never seen them with their parents or the other characters up there. So we'll be seeing that in future episodes. And also, the people on the Ark learning, is Earth survival? And then how do they get down there to the ground? So it's all going to feel very, very interconnected, I think, in the series. And in terms of a percentage, I would say it's probably about like 70% on the ground, maybe 30% up in space.
Yeah, the pilot's a good model. There's usually roughly 3 storylines happening. One's on the ship and 2 are on the ground. It could switch depending on the importance of the episode storyline on the arc. But yeah, that's basically the formula.
Since this is based on the book, how much of the series do you guys have mapped out?
You know, to be honest, the book, I can't even remember where the book ends and where the story that we're telling begins at this point. It's not that helpful, frankly, in terms of where we're going. But we've got the entire season mapped out. I've sort of seen the first season very clearly from the jump. So, you know, whether this was going to be a mid-season show or a 24-episode regular season, it was going to end at the same place. You know? So because it's mid-season, we look at it as a loss, actually, that we tell 13 really intense stories and get to the same place. You know? So beyond that,
We
all
talked
the-
about season 2. I mean,
We have a
general
very good
vibe
idea.
for season 2 and all that.
With the kids ripping off their placer bracelets, they got, and then obviously the adults in the space station noticing this, might it force them to go down early to check on them? And
Well, you know, the truth is that lends them to think that the Earth is not surrounded. So the more bracelets come off, the more wristbands come off, the less likely they are actually to go down. Now, one of the characters up there, Abby, Clark's mother, is determined to find out the truth. And so that might actually, you might find her more inclined to go down. And in fact, there will be a character who does jump between those two worlds 4 or 5 episodes in. And so, yes, but it won't play out at all the way you expect it to play out. And it won't answer the question, ultimately, for them on the arc, that the ground is survivable because somebody on the ground gets there first.
Can you talk a little bit about casting? Because Isaiah and hopefully they came into the process and they're great actors and obviously
I mean,
a lot
for
to
me,
the adult side of it.
It's a good question. For me, it was very important that these adult characters, for lack of a better way to describe it,
Eliza Taylor.
I'm not going to talk about her when she's. It was important that they were real characters, not just the grown-ups, not just the parents. You know, like Peanuts characters, where they really don't matter. And so, fortunately, I think Ian was actually the first actor to join the cast from the arc. I'm a grown-up, and he really sort of began the. You know, we got Isaiah Washington and Paige Turco. These are real people with real careers, and so that's one of the most exciting things to me. And the kids, for the most part, are you know, new, but amazingly seasoned. And Barrett and Nalari, our director, who we should probably pub a little bit too, really got good performances out of them, natural and real.
Eliza, I mean, she was literally fresh off the boat from Australia, and had just landed and was more interested actually in pursuing movies than TV, and got robbed and lost all her money. And we were like, all right, beautiful, we got a TV show for you. We can give you a job today. And suddenly television looked like its own.
To do with the
Now, meanwhile, we had our masks like in Tron, and we were like, all right, this is the perfect crime. But anyway, she came on to the show, and you know, obviously, if you've seen I think she's wonderful, and was a real kind of find for us, and as well as the rest of the kids on the ground.
what about Thomas? Like, how did you...
Thomas?
Yeah.
Thomas was there's another funny story with Thomas. I mean, that was a very hard role to cast. We had seen, I mean, I can't even tell you how many hundreds of people we saw. Same thing with Clark's role for Eliza. And Thomas was another one who I think he said no to us like 3 times. But I'm like a dog with a bone sometimes. I refuse to take no for an answer. It's very frustrating for my wife. But
Not the only one. It's frustrating.
By the way, it was frustrating for Matt during casting. It was frustrating for the casting directors. They were like, he's passed 3 times. Stop. It's embarrassing already. And then somehow, I don't know, 11th hour, he read the script again. I believe probably for the first time, and he decided to do it. So, you know, it was really, we were in Vancouver already scouting. We didn't know who was going to play the part. It was kind of...
It was like 3 days before we were ready to shoot.
It was crazy.
It was really crunch time, and we had always really liked Thomas for this role, and he, as Jason said, he just wasn't interested in doing it, either the part or television or moving to Vancouver. You know, there's a variety of reasons that it's not exactly the right fit, and through Jason's tenacity, we were able to get him to read it and agree to do it. And it worked out great.
It's a bad example, by the way, to be set. Now it's like, I believe that's possible, so I'm going to get more and more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Impossible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.